you need to block off 4 hours. Just block it off all at once. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Don't do 15 minutes at a time. It's not as good. Just block it all off.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I wanna be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for joining us for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today we're talking about the 4-hour business plan. So Edmonton CPA, Spurrell & Associates, we're talking about the 4-hour business plan. I have Cole here with me again. So Cole, I think we see clients that get a little overwhelmed when you say business plan to them the first time.
Yeah, spend like 40 hours on it and try to make it a work of art.
Yeah, it's a working document. We're going to make it you do the best job possible. You're going to change it next year for sure in a small business. So the quote that we have here, the good business planning quote, Benjamin Franklin: if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Benjamin Franklin again. If you fail to plan, by default, you are planning to fail. Palo Alto, the software manufacturer, they've run the stats on this. They know that business owners who complete a plan are actually 50% more likely to increase the size of their business than business owners who don't complete a plan. So again, 50% more likely to increase the size of your business by completing a business plan. The story that we have here is we have business owners and they know a plan, it would increase their chances of success. They're sold on that. But where they're struggling is to find the time for what seems like an overwhelming task of this business plan where maybe they've never done anything like it before, or it seems daunting. So Cole, what are the questions that these business owners should be asking?
How many meetings in the Spurrell & Associates planning process normally take?
So we actually, straight from financial plan to business plan, we actually can normally get a financial plan, including a tax plan and business plan, out the door. Usually 4 meetings with a client. It's not a huge process. We have a very systematic way. We meet with them once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. We got a financial plan, we got a business plan, and you're on your way. You got a good working plan that is going to guide the direction of your business for the next year.
What normally happens in each of these meetings?
So meeting number 1 is normally we're going through their personal circumstances. And one of the mistakes that we make in business planning, especially small business planning, is people try to make a business plan that's completely disconnected from what's going on in the household. How much money they need to take out of the business, what's their debt level, what assets that they have that they can contribute to the business. It's got to make sense with what's going into the household. So first meeting number 1 is to find out what's going on. We tackle that financial plan and tax plan first, and that first meeting is all designed about figuring out what are the household circumstances. What's the mortgages, the car payments, the debt levels, the income from other sources. What are their high level objectives that they have, bringing on family members, taking time off, selling the business, buying a new business, buying a new house. So let's figure out what's going on in the household first. That's meeting number 1. Meeting number 2 is usually we've run our numbers on the household and we know exactly what we're going to do from a tax planning perspective and a financial planning perspective. We deliver that financial planning, review it with the owners so they know what circumstances there are. Also, meeting number 2, we introduce them to our business plan template, and then they get a little homework after meeting number 2, and in between meeting number 2 and 3 is they put their vision for the business in our planning template. Meeting number 3 is all about that business owner. They come back into our office and we look at what they've written down, what they've brainstormed into this document, and we try to understand their vision. What are these guys trying to accomplish with the business? What makes them unique? What makes them special? What's their vision for the business? And then in between meeting number 3 and meeting number 4, we're going to put our spin on that vision to, what recommendations can we put along with that vision that we think is going to put them in the best position to succeed on executing that vision in their business. And that's meeting number 4. And we get straight through the planning process, normally in 4 meetings. Sometimes it can be a little shorter if people have done a bunch of legwork beforehand. Sometimes they're really disorganized and it takes a couple more meetings. That's okay. The key is getting a useful plan out the door that we think is going to increase their chances of success.
How much time does the business owner need to spend on the plan on their own?
We tell them, hey, 4 hours. We're doing everything we need to do in those meetings. Really, in between meeting 2 and 3 is, you need to block off 4 hours. Just block it off all at once. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Don't do 15 minutes at a time. It's not as good. Just block it all off. and you're really just going to dump your vision for the business in there in those 4 hours, and really in between meeting 2 and 3. That's all you need to do. You'll get a good effective plan out of those 4 hours.
Is it a good idea to spread out these meetings?
I think so. I think it's better to actually spread these meetings out. Normally, our default setting is we do 1 meeting a month, for 4 months till we got all the planning ironed out. And I actually think it allows people to think critically about it. Usually, if we can generate a plan quicker, but normally we're doing that because of external pressures. We're doing it because the bank won't give you the financing until they see the plan. If that's the case, I guess we're cranking it out faster. Sometimes the plan tends to be more geared towards what the bank wants than what's actually going to buy the business owner in those circumstances. It's a better idea, I believe, to actually spread that out. There's no reason why you can't start your business and be developing your plan. You got to stop thinking about your plan as something that gets done before you start and never done again. It's something that you do every single year. So it's always something you're going to be doing while you're running your business. And having a couple of months of experience while you're running your business, while you're still working on your plan, in my view, it's actually not a bad idea. You'd probably get a better plan out of it.
Do business owners sometimes think that a business plan is a sales material?
They do, yeah. So they think, hey, look, I got this business plan. I better make this polished just with all kinds of language that's going to impress the customers. Like, the customer never sees your business plan. This is just for you. This is, sometimes it's going for the bank, but it's going to the bank too. But, for the most part, plan is designed to keep the business owner focused on their own vision. We don't have to, dress it up. It just got to be, straight to the point, what we're going to do, what we're going to not do, which is just as important. So you don't have to worry about making it. It's not like making a flyer or something on your website that everyone is going to see. This is just for you. This is just to keep your goals focused. It's to communicate to us what the vision is, and then to help us, give us enough information that we can give you recommendations on how to execute that vision.
Why do you think 4 hours per year on planning is better than 40 hours in 1 year?
So you learn so much every year that you operate your business. You're going to be, so much smarter in year 2 than you were in year 1. You just won't have a perfect plan in year 1. I think there's a lot of diminishing returns on how much you spend on that plan. I think that time spent in our office at those meetings and that 4 hours the average business owner can put their vision for their business in the plan, I think it's highly beneficial, and there's a huge payback on that amount of time. But remember, we only have 168 hours in the week. Is 40 hours going to make you better just because you spent more time? You probably don't even know what you're talking about when you first start, because you just started the business. That's okay. You know a little bit, but you're going to know so much more in year 2. You're going to know more again in year 3. So if you're constantly looking at it, that this is my annual checkup, and I'm going to use what I learn each and every year to get better and better and better, make my plan more focused, you're just going to completely outrun the person who thinks that they could do it once at the beginning and be perfect at it.
Why is finding issues with your plan a lot like finding your missing keys?
So it's like you ever misplaced your car keys, and you just can't find your car keys for the life of you, and then someone else looks at them for you, and they're right on the table, and you just couldn't see it. It was sitting there right in front of you. Trying to find issues with your own business plan sometimes is very, very difficult. Having someone else involved, and ideally a CPA involved, is probably the best practice, because it is very difficult sometimes to see the most obvious issues because you're so close to it. And also a lot of times the experience that you have is just related to your industry, and someone else can take experience from other industries and actually apply it, and that gives you something unique that you can execute in your business that some of your competitors might not be doing.
Does Spurrell & Associates have more than one person look at the plan?
Yeah, so even us, we have a business owner do the plan, and we never have just one person look at the plan, because it doesn't matter if I do all the plans myself. I won't get to the as good of a conclusion. I won't have the same quality and the same amount of input as we can as we have several team members. So we always have at least 2 team members look at the plan, and sometimes more, and it just gives more input in that business owner. What circumstances have we encountered, myself and the other team members, that we can impart on this business owner to help them put them down the right path and give them advantages of people who have been there before didn't have, right? If you want to see further, the key is that you stand on the shoulders of others, and then you can just see so much further. That's why you want to have more than one person look at it.
Are doing financial projections difficult for even CPAs?
Yeah, it's if you look at a newer CPA and sometimes look at them doing a forecasting model and you look at their cash flow projections, it's a tough task. It's a task to ask someone to get 100% on it. Whether you're a rookie or you're experienced, it's difficult. So where this ties in is, you got to think that professional CPAs have gone to school for 7 years. It's not outrageous for if they're doing this task alone to make an error themselves. So now you get the average business owner who hasn't had 7 years of professional training, and they're trying to do cash flow projections. And I'll say a stat out there is that when business owners do cash flow projections on their business plan, they're not wrong 99% of the time. They're wrong 100% of the time. I've never seen, over a decade in public practice, I've never seen a cash flow projection come in from a business owner and it's right. It's 100% right. It's just never happened. So you got to remember that when you do the projection part of it, that's really difficult. Even for CPAs.
Even if you can't afford a CPA, should you do the projections yourself?
Yeah, I still think even if you couldn't afford to do the CPA and say this was a side hustle, I think you should dump the vision for the plan in there and let someone else take the first hack at doing the projections. Because the projections that someone else comes up with, you're going to learn something. And if you don't prejudice them with your own projections first, you might learn something that, I guess I thought of it this way, but that might be a little too aggressive. We want to plan on generally on the more conservative side, because if you run out of cash, guess what? It's usually game over sometimes for a lot of business owners. So even if you couldn't afford to hire a CPA, I would strongly recommend hiring a CPA for any main business, any significant amounts. But say if this was a side hustle and you just wanted to do it on the cheap, rather than do the projection yourself, I would get someone else to do the projection for you. You'd explain to them the vision. You would explain to them, you write out the rest of the parts of the business plan, and then give it to them and say, hey, can you do me an income statement projection? Can you do me a cash flow projection? You want to see what they come up with first. You can always change it after what they come up with. But I think you would learn a lot in terms of what might be overly aggressive that you were expecting and what someone else would expect. So I think that's what we have here today. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, we look forward to any comments that you have and responding to your comments and finding out what you guys would like to address in future videos. As always, please hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds of business. Thanks very much.